Well, good morning. It is May the 14th, Monday. It's very early in the morning. It's not even 4:30 yet, but I thought I would like to get this video out of the way. It is my introduction and expectations video for the course that you're going to be taking for the next 8 weeks. Welcome to Introduction to Ethics at um, Northwest Technical College for the summer semester 2018. Um, I think you're in for an interesting summer. It's going to be very accelerated, and you know that because you've signed up for an accelerated course. But welcome aboard. Step one would be to watch this video, and if you're watching it, then you've already found it. It can be found in several places um, on D2L, but you're going to be using D2L exclusively while you take this course. And so you really need to be familiar with D2L. If you're not, you're going to have some serious problems completing the class. And so if you would open D2L right now and open it to the syllabus and schedule, which can be found under the materials. You know, you'd click materials. Uh, let's see what we can do here. Click, well, we'll start all over. Let's see. First, we go to NTC, click on My NTC, and it will pop up. You'll enter your information, your password. It pops up. Um, D2L Brightspace, click on that, and that will bring up all of your summer courses. In this case, PHIL 120190 Ethics, so you're going to click on that, and there we go. The opening screen has announcements. The first is welcome. Welcome to Introduction to Ethics. Please take some time to examine the course schedule and calendar. And then it gives textbook information. And for this class, our textbook is Ethics, Theory, and Practice by Jacques Thoreau. This is the 11th edition expanded, or the updated 11th edition. You may have this, you may have one of the older texts as well, or you may have purchased the online package. If you have done that, then there's some additional things that we'll need to do, but hopefully this is the book that you have. It's the easiest one, I think, to use, but this is your textbook. You will need it, and you will need it immediately. Now, that being said, some of you may not have ordered your textbook yet, and you're thinking to yourself, goodness gracious, how are we going to get this class going with no textbook? And the answer to that is I have scanned, um, I think, 4 chapters in. In fact, I have. I just clicked on it, and I have chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is all of section 1. So you can get started um, even if you don't have your textbook. Now, you will need to get your textbook. It's not legal for me to make copies of the entire textbook. I can only do that for several chapters. But for now, you will have access. But at any rate, go back to the welcome screen and you will see this introduction video. It says the best way to start the course is to view the introduction video. Either click the link here or go to the content section and look under course information. This should help you figure out where to begin and how to move forward in the course. There is a blurb about the weekly attendance board. In order for me to track attendance, since this is an online course, I've made a discussion board titled Weekly Attendance. You will need to make a post each week in the appropriate discussion forum saying present or here or anything to let me know that you have signed in for the week. This will let me track who is keeping up. Now, inevitably, some of you won't do it, and you're going to lose points if you don't. I'm going to subtract 1 point for each week that you do not sign in. If you do not sign in for the first week, I will drop you from the course. That's the only way I have of knowing whether you're actually signing in and keeping up. So please take it seriously. A lot of students don't, um, but you really need to do that. And then the last announcement is chapters 13 through 16. Because of the compressed nature of this course, we will not be covering chapters 13, 14, 15, or 16. Um, Unfortunately, they are among the most interesting of all the chapters in the textbook. And if you choose to do them, if you will write up a synopsis on each chapter, I will offer extra credit to anyone who does that. I'll give up to 5 points. Now, you can't just slap 3 words on a page and expect me to give you 5 points of extra credit. But if you turn in, a good 3 pages per chapter, double spaced, I think you can count on an extra 5 points. So that's how we start with our D2L Brightspace. Up in the corner, you'll see materials. Up at the top of the screen, you'll see communications. You'll see assessments, resources, course admin. I want to begin with materials. So click on materials, and it brings up calendar, checklist, content, links, and a locker. I want to look at content. Click on content. And now you get an overview, bookmarks, course schedule, table of contents, course information, assignments, chapter PowerPoints, textbook chapters, lectures, videos, helpful term paper resources. Um, you get the whole enchilada. Although I will be removing the helpful term paper resources because there's no term paper that's due in this course. There used to be, but I no longer require that. So let's start with table of contents. Click on it, and immediately it gives you instructor info, a link to this video, and the syllabus and schedule. You can look at the instructor info on your own. I'll give you a short introduction to my name is David Myers. I've been teaching ethics and philosophy for a number of years here at NTC. In fact, about 11 years at NTC. I've taught at a number of other universities. I've taught at Oak Hills, which is here in Bemidji. I taught New Testament plus Old Testament courses and Semitic languages. Um, I've taught at a number of other colleges and all over the place. And so I have been teaching since 1997. I'm retired from the United States Navy, and then my main job Uh, Here is I'm a Southern Baptist minister. Now, that doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with the course, but it just gives you a little background on who I am. Let's go down to syllabus and schedule. Click on that because this is the meat and potatoes of the course. You know, you click on it and it pops up and it gives you all this boilerplate information. It gives you Northwest Technical College, the address. Uh, it says spring semester. I need to change that. It's the summer semester. Uh, First 8 weeks accelerated. It gives the date 14 May through 9 July. Those are the dates of the course. Gives you my name, David Myers, then BS, MA, MDiv, DD. Those are the different degrees that I hold. And then my phone number. It gives you my cell number. Um, I strongly believe that you should have access to me whenever you need it. And by that, I mean if you have questions or concerns, I want you to call or text me or beat me, whatever it takes. I do answer text. I have a smartphone and know how to use it. But here's the deal, if you don't keep up on the reading, you're going to fall behind. If you fall behind, you're going to panic. I want you to call me. Um, Students don't like to call their professors. And my experience has been that students will call and they immediately apologize. Oh, I'm sorry to bother you. Listen, I have a job because of you. You, the student, provide me with a living. My time is your time. You don't need to apologize. I would ask two things. One, I am a minister, so I will not take phone calls on Sunday morning from 9 o'clock until about 2 o'clock because I'm busy. But I'll take your phone call any other time. And I'm an older gentleman, although I'm not old, but I'm an older gentleman. I like to go to bed by 9. I get up very early. But so please try not to call after 9 o'clock. Here's the other deal. Bad luck for you and for I. I have fractured a couple of vertebrae in my neck. You may notice I keep putting my hands over my head. That's the only way I can get some relief. I am having surgery this week. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not available to you. I will be available, just not while I'm on the table. And I don't know anything about recovery time but I will be watching. I will be reading your discussions, and I will be keeping up with everything. But I do anticipate surgery fairly quickly. Um, just bad timing on all of our parts. So here's the syllabus. You've got my phone number, you've got my email. I check my email several times a day, um, and I try to answer emails very quickly. Phone calls, I answer right away. Course description, you can read this for yourself. Um, there are no prerequisites for this class, although we're considering making college writing a prerequisite because some of the papers that I'm getting turned in are abysmal. By that I mean clearly you're trying to communicate, you have a thought process, but sometimes it's very difficult for me to follow what that thought process is. I'm pretty sure that college writing would help, but in the meantime, just be clear and concise as you can. For some of you, English may be a second language, but you need to communicate in English, clear, concise English, grammatically correct. I'm not crazy over grammar, but If the sentence structure is so clunky that I can't figure out what you're trying to say, then we've got an issue. And so it, it does become important. Um, that being said, uh, the student who successfully completes this course will be able to pass a test with 70% accuracy. There's all kinds of information about critical thinking. You can read that on your own, ethical and civic responsibility. But the important thing that, at any rate, what most of you consider to be important are the methods that I use to assess your grade. And one of those things is required reading. Hey, the reading is tough. Um, any philosophy is difficult. You'll need to reread sections several times. That being said, you can do it. It's possible. You don't have to become a master of the material. What gets me is when people turn in their reading report, they'll say, well, I read it, but I didn't really understand everything. I don't expect you to. Um, it can be very challenging reading, and this is the least challenging textbook that I was able to find. And so do the reading, but at the same time, understand you're not going to master the material in 8 weeks. So keep up with the reading. There are examinations that you will need to take, and they are difficult examinations. Um, there are ethics problems assignments. This has replaced the term paper, and we'll talk more about those in a couple of moments. And there are discussion boards. These are the methods that I use to come up with your grade. Now, the reading report. 10% of your grade is a reading report. You need to see the schedule for what needs to be read by what date. But the course requires a lot of reading. It relies heavily on discussion, and in order to participate in the discussion, you need to keep up with the reading. So the reading is 10%. Now you're saying, well, how do I measure that? Towards the end of the class, not at the beginning of the class, but at the end of the class, you are going to come up with a simple document that you're going to place in the appropriate drop box that says, I, your name, have completed blank percentage of the assigned reading. So say I was turning it in. I would say, I, David Myers, have completed 95% of the required reading for the class. That means I would get 9.5 points out of 10 for the assigned reading. If you completed 100% of the assigned reading, then you say I completed 100% of the assigned reading. If you tell me you completed 20% of the assigned reading, you're going to get 2 points. What you see is what you get. So you tell me, and that is your grade. I do not question it. I do not say, oh, well, his test scores don't seem to indicate. No, that's not it. You tell me what you read, and that is your grade. I have to say this because I have had a student in the fairly recent past that said that they completed 20% of the reading and was very angry when I gave them 2 points. They felt that because they were honest, they should get 10 points. And that's just not how it works. So reading is very important. Discussions are worth 30% of your grade. So the course is divided into 3 sections. 3 sections. Each section has a an exam and discussions and an assignment. So the discussions are worth 30% of your grade, but each particular discussion is worth 10%. So you're required to begin two threads, and somebody will always say, well, what do I write about? You write about whatever interests you in the chapters that you've read. So if patient autonomy interests you, then you'll write about patient autonomy. But you need to start two original threads, and you need to reply or respond to four other threads. So for each section, that is six, six responses, six blurbs. They need to be well thought out. They need to be several sentences long at least. I will not accept, oh, I totally agree with you. That does not count as one of your responses. So think about these. What I would do is I would do them in a Word document, cut it, and then paste it onto the appropriate board, discussion board. But that's worth 6 points out of 10. The rest of the points are drawn from how many posts that you read. Many times students will say, oh, I got 6 points, but what happened? Why did I only get six? You need to read them. You need to read all the posts. You don't need to read the post where you sign in every week saying I'm present. That doesn't count, but you need to read all the other posts. And if you don't, you're going to miss points. And there are some who aren't going to watch this video and who aren't going to get it. There are others who, for whatever reason, absolutely refuse to participate in discussions, and right off the bat, they lose 30 points. So right off the bat, they're looking at a 70. And then I had that happen this last semester. I had a student that didn't turn any discussions in, and then at the last minute say, what can I do to pass the class? I really need to pass the class. And it's like, well, turning in assignments would have been, crucial. So keep up with the work, turn your assignments in. Examinations. The course is broken into 3 sections again. Each is divided into 4 chapters of the textbook. Each section has a corresponding examination, and this is 10% of the final grade added up 30%. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the exams are difficult. The reading is difficult. One thing I don't want to see on the discussion boards is the reading is too hard. I can't understand the reading. This is a 3-unit college course in philosophy. It's supposed to be difficult reading. That being said, again, you don't need to master the reading. And because the exams are so difficult, what I have done is I've given you practice exams. They are always open. There's one for each chapter. And the questions for the test are taken directly from the practice exams. So if you take the practice exams, you already know what's going to be on the actual exam. Now, that being said, there may be 50 questions on the practice exam, and I may not use all 50 questions. But there's no tricks here. What you see is what you get. If you are able to memorize short term a bunch of the questions, you will blow the test out of the water. Many of my students get 100% on the exams. Now, the exams are open book, but they are not open note. You may not simply print up the answers, and I'm sorry, that's just too easy. And don't count on open book, because the book is vast. Doesn't look like it. It looks thin, but you will not be able to, in 1 hour, look up each and every one of the answers. You need to do the reading. You need to take the practice exams. If you blow an exam, and some of you will, because you won't listen, you won't take the practice exams at first, you can do extra credit. And the extra credit is simply going through and regrading your exam and explaining what you missed and why you missed it and what the right answer is. Don't just cut and paste because I'm giving you credit for this. But here's the deal. Say you get a 4.2 on the exam. I don't know why that seems to be such a popular score, but a lot of people get a 4.2 on the exam. So you go through, you look at the exam views, you regrade it, you put it in the Dropbox, and I will raise your score from a 4.2 to a 7, which is a C, a 70. Um, my experience has been that the students that really need uh, the score will not do it. The funny thing is, a student that's getting a 95%, they want to do the extra credit. Well, okay, say you get a 75 on the exam. If you do the extra credit, I'll raise it to an 80. If you get an 85, I'll raise it to a 90. I'm not going to raise it above a 95. We don't have A pluses or A minuses. An A is an A is an A. But there is extra credit available. It's due before the beginning of the next exam cycle. So if you let the exam cycle come and go, it's too late to turn in the extra credit. Let's see. Ethics problems. The student will choose one of the ethics problems found in the section. Each question is fairly complex and will require between 3 and 4 pages double spaced to answer completely. Keep in mind that these correspond to the 11th edition. If you have an earlier edition, you will not be able to find these questions, but I have included them in the content section. So if you don't have the 11th edition, you can find them in content and print them up. But section 1, you will choose one of the following. One, don't turn in all 4. Um, Chapter 1, ethics problem, why be moral? Found on page 28. Chapter 2, ethics problem, would you throw the switch? And that's found on page 44. Chapter 3, ethics problem, would you kill for the sake of duty? Found on page 59. And chapter 4, ethics problem, bullying, what should you do? On page 75. I've broken them down for all 3 sections. And so choose one of those problems and write between 3 and 4 pages, double spaced, um, grammatically correct, and answered completely. This is in lieu of a term paper. If for some reason you guys are unable to write these papers, I will reinstate a term paper that will be due towards the end of the class. I haven't had to do that, but I like term papers, and I think that we should have one in each class, but students seem to hate term papers. And so I have substituted the term paper assignment with just the section assignments. And so, um, again, 30% of your grade. You really need to turn these assignments in. Between this and, you know, your discussions, that's 60% of your grade. Um, Participation is 10%, your reading report, and then exams are 30%. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty cut and dry. Grades are A, B, C, D, and F. This is not a nursing course, so 70 is passing, but you want to do better than that. All right, course schedule, page 4 of the syllabus. As stated above, the course is divided into 3 sections. There's an examination for each section. The first 2 exams will be open for a 7-day period, Monday through Monday, and the student may take the exam whenever it's convenient within that period. The third exam is open from Monday through Friday because that's the end of the semester. So 28 May through 4 June is exam 1. You can take it any time during that period. You don't need a proctor. Don't wait till the last possible second and then text me saying, "Oh, I couldn't get it to open." You've got an entire week, plenty of time. The second one is 18 through 25 June. That covers chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the third is 2 through 9 July, and that covers chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12. If there's a reason that you cannot take the exam on a scheduled date, or you wish to complete an exam or assignment early, contact me. We'll see what we can do. Reading assignment schedule. On 4 June, the student will have read chapters 1 through 4, and the section 1 ethical problem is due, and discussions close at that time. So by the end of the exam cycle, that's when everything's due. 25 June is the second date that's important, and you will have read chapters 5 through 8 and turned in the section 2 ethical problem, and discussions close at that date. And finally, 9 July. And the reading report is due on 9 July. Now, the course ends 9 July. I will leave it open for a week after that so that you can, follow along and see what's graded and ask any questions that you may have. But that pretty much covers the course. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to call me. My time is your time, other than, I'll have surgery it's Monday already. So I go in for pre-op tomorrow, and I'm hoping to have surgery by the end of the week. But again, my time is your time. Have a wonderful summer semester, and don't fall behind without contacting me. All right? Good luck. Bye-bye.